To continue trying to make sense of this latest development, we are now joined by a political analyst, Dr. Levy Ndou. Dr. Ndou, a very good afternoon to you. Thanks very much for your time. I was reading the Sunday newspapers this morning, then the speculation as to what is behind Floyd Shivambu's resignation continues.
Good afternoon, Vuyo. Good afternoon to the viewers at home. Indeed, speculation is going to grow, and I think in the next few days, it will be the days of speculation, but we'll still be eagerly waiting for the exact reasons why Mr. Shivambu had to leave the EFF. What we only have now is that there are few areas that most people have identified as being the main reasons why Shivambu had to leave the EFF. But Shivambu is a politician, and whatever he does, he will be followed, and he will also be tempted or peacefully influenced to end up citing the reasons. And I expect the same from the leadership of the EFF and some members of the EFF. But I, amongst other people, were surprised about the decision by Shivambu to leave the EFF. But these are things that happen in politics. People would join political parties, become very central and influential in these political parties. But when time comes, the very same people that you never thought would leave their political homes will do what would surprise many people.
Where does that surprise come from, Dr. Ndou?
Well, the surprise would come from the fact that apart from the political relations that Floyd Shivambu and Julius Malema had, it went beyond that. They, to me, seem like brothers because they had a very, very strong bond, which did not only start whilst they were in the EFF. These are the people who are coming from the ANC Youth League, and it's a generation that was very vibrant in the ANC Youth League. And as a co-founder of the party, indeed it will surprise many that a co-founder is actually moved out of the party. And the surprise would be what prevented these two to be able to come together and find the solutions that will create a situation where they do not have to split. And that is why now we come to issues that will relate to speculations. The first speculation will be that, which is also influenced by what the EFF member from Zimbabwe was saying, that the National Assembly of the EFF, which is elective, which is coming towards the end of the year, could have been a factor that would have led to Shivambu leaving the party. To some who are outside, they might feel that he's well placed, he's doing a very, very good job. But Floyd Shivambu is growing, not only as a politician, but as an individual. And he could have felt that this will be the right time for him to ascend to the highest office. And having looked and realized that that is not possible, he might have therefore seen that it's better to get a new political home where maybe he could easily ascend to the higher office in such political parties. And that is what is also informed by another speculation that seeks to be suggesting that he could be feeling that has not been properly valued in the EFF.
Precisely because of those two reasons, your latter points. It is because of that in my books I would argue that perhaps personal ambition would trump any bromance.
Indeed, Vuyo. politicians in their own nature, and I'm referring to real politicians, they are ambitious in their own nature. Politicians want to be influential. Politicians want to be leading. And that is why you have got a very small elite that has to be influential in political parties. And when one realizes that the space appears to be closed and it would appear to be permanently closed, they therefore would love to go where they feel that they could be able to occupy positions where they'll have ultimate control and responsibility. But apart from that, there has been this issue that relates to the VBS matter, which in the eyes of many people, Mr. Shivambu could be implicated. And there are some who are saying that by the fact that there is a report that goes straight into Shivambu's environment, it could be that the EFF might have felt that because of that, there is a potential for Shivambu not even to be allowed to occupy any position, but also that matter has a potential to further taint the image of the EFF, and therefore the EFF together with Shivambu had to do what would be in the best interest of the economic freedom fighters.
Well, let me stick with the former point that you argued for a second, Dr. Ndou, and ask, of course this is hypothetical, but would a Floyd Shivambu, say he was to challenge Julius Malema at the elective conference later on in the year, do you think he would pull it off?
It will depend on how he arranges or organizes himself towards the conference. Remember, there are people who would openly canvass within the structures of the organization, and there are people who would do a very secret canvass exercise within the structures of the party, and you'll actually get surprised. And it does happen in all political parties. The view that this matter is taking place now towards the conference would also be a factor. We do not know, because we are still in the speculative mode, that what if some within the structures have realized that Shivambu has been campaigning and his campaign has gained momentum, and therefore they had to use the VBS issue in order to remove him from the party. That could also be a possibility. But because you're a party that would emphasize that you support democracy and you want to do things done openly, you would do your best to demonstrate that things are done democratically, whilst deep down within yourselves and within your inner circles, you know that there has been an element of preventing others from participating in this democratic exercise.
But does Floyd Shivambu have, the same pool that Julius has in and outside of the party?
Well, I think he has given himself an opportunity to be free and exercise his own political activities freely outside the EFF. So it will be difficult to make a comparison, because if you look at Shivambu as a politician, he was the spokesperson of the ANC Youth League before the formation of the EFF, and his entire life in the EFF, he has been the deputy. So he has not been given that opportunity to freely exercise his leadership role and also to demonstrate it in front of the people. But if one has to make a reference, when the EFF had a rally in KwaZulu-Natal, which was the sole responsibility of the then deputy president of the party. There were fingers pointed at him that things did not go on very, very well, and was at the helm of such arrangements. But that is one thing, arranging one event and being given sufficient space to exercise your responsibility as a leader, as an influential individual, is something else. But most people who would be given responsibilities to deputize, they would easily develop ambitions to lead, and in that exercise, they are able to identify weaknesses in the leaders which they think they would be able to rectify when they are given an opportunity to take over responsibilities of the party.
Dr. Ndou, my producer is going to kill me, but I have to ask this on the back of what you've just said. But quickly, in seconds, but will a Jacob Zuma allow a Floyd Shivambu to do what you say he can do?
Unfortunately, you say there is no time, but there are a few things that we need to look at. The first thing that we need to look at is that Mr. Shivambu is convinced that former President Jacob Zuma is supposed to be arrested. And because of that, one questions, why then has he decided to go and join the person that is convinced that he should be arrested for wrongdoing? Number two is that has Jacob Zuma decided to forgive Floyd Shivambu and the EFF on the embarrassment that they've been causing to him whilst he was the president of the Republic and that of the ANC? So those are the issues that, in my view, the two have to come onto the open and explain to us. But let's continue with the speculation. If time is available for the MK and space available, we might see Shivambu shining in the MK party, but the issues are raised have to be resolved. And I think it's important that as political leaders, they should clarify the nation.